Hey, it's Mark Ferguson with Investor More. I'm at one of my rental properties, and we're going to go over the cost of one of our tenants leaving early, doing damage to the property, and how much more that was than if they had kept paying rent, not damaged the property, and continued to live there like we thought they would. So this is a property I bought a couple of years ago. It was a huge mess when I bought it. We went through, remodeled everything, and this is actually what it looked like after we had remodeled this unit before anybody had moved in. So this is the condition of the property before the tenants moved in, and then we'll show you what it looked like after they moved out, and then we'll show you what it looked like after we repaired it again in a very short matter of time. So this was an expensive tenant, definitely did not make any money on them at all, and I think a lot of people think when a tenant moves out, oh, it's easy, you just re-rent the property, it's fine, it doesn't cost the landlord any money. It costs landlords a lot of money when tenants move out, when they have vacancies, and especially if tenants move out before their lease is up, and especially if they do damage to a property. So like I said, this is what it looked like before they moved in and before we rented the property. So we rented it for $1,200 a month and found someone pretty quick. We always do quite a bit of tenant screening. We go through TransUnion background checks, which actually go through DoorLoop, our property management software. And this is what the property looks like after they had moved out. And by the way, someone had mentioned, oh, you've got an illegal rental, you've got extension cords sticking out of the house. That was them. The tenants had done that. So the tenants did that. The tenants put up the fence, and the tenants did some other issues. And one annoying thing about this, too, was we talked to them. They're talking about getting on a payment plan, and basically their payment plan was less than what their rent was, and they owed rent plus utilities. We said, no, you need to catch up. And so they just moved out, didn't tell us, and left a note on, or when we left the notice on the door for the eviction, they wrote the code to the door handle on it because they also changed the locks on the property without telling us as well. And for those of you that think, oh, tenants should be able to change the locks, you know, landlords have the right to inspect properties. We have the right to give them notice and go in. And if they don't let us in, that is also grounds for eviction. So they should not change the locks. They should not be doing that without permission from us. Also, that house is rented for, I think, $1,500 or $1,600 a month, and the basement of that house is also rented. And then we have another little building over there that we don't rent out because technically this properties only have to have 3 units per zoning laws. But maybe that's changing with Colorado's new law where they want to take away all occupancy limits. We'll see. I just saw that. Maybe that's a good thing for us. A lot of people think that law is going to help homeowners and renters. It's going to help landlords the most because now they can stick more people in properties and get more rent and increase the value of their properties. But that might be another video. So this is what the house looks like after they moved out. And that was their air conditioner that they moved in. I didn't realize it. I'm like, God, we don't leave stuff looking like this, do we? And it was very noisy too. And then when you look through that first video I showed you, we didn't have anything there. There was no air conditioner. That was theirs. They left a bunch of painting supplies and different stuff. They really roughed up the floors quite a bit here. The kitchen was in okay shape, but they put some mirrors and stuff on one of the cabinets. So just did some really annoying stuff. And we'll show you all the figures here in just a little bit on what rent is, utilities, all of that, and how far behind they got, and some of the repairs. But honestly, as I'm looking at this video, I forgot about a few of the repairs that we have on this. So we might have to add a few more to our figures on how much this is costing us. But they had also tried to repaint the whole interior, as you see too. And it was kind of a similar color, but not quite the same. And I'm guessing their kids just destroyed the walls based on what these other rooms look like. And yeah, you can see they left their painting supplies. And that room was not that color before, I don't think. So they also were painting them different colors. Again, had no permission. Our lease is very clear not to do that, not to paint without permission, especially when you do that to a door, which, yeah, just annoying in this aspect. And these tenants did not make it a full year either, which was also frustrating because all the costs that come with finding new tenants, repairing properties, you know, rental properties are not this magic wealth building tool immediately. They can be an amazing wealth building tool. They've done very well for me, made me millions of dollars, but it takes time and years and a lot of hard work and effort to get to that point. And so when you have tenants who move out right away and do damage, it can really throw you behind the 8 ball for a while. So for people that think landlords just magically make all this money and are printing money, they are not. Unless you've had properties for years and years and years and really worked very hard at it. So in this one, like I said, they were not here a full year. So again, broken door, couple of painted doors, floor damage, lots of paint needed, cleanup needed. There was quite a bit of work here, and it's not something where you can just say, oh, we'll just clean up real fast and get tenants in here in a week. That is not how it works with rental properties. It takes some time to rent them. If you're trying to find good tenants, you want to screen them, not just pick anyone who wants the property, or you have a better chance of something like this happening. Like I said, we did screen them. They did have decent credit. But even with that, sometimes you still have tenants who cause problems and issues and damage properties. Now here is what the property looks like today, which is actually over a month after they moved out. So that's another misconception, is that landlords have people just sitting around twiddling their thumbs waiting to go fix properties right away. I wish we had that, but we've got other projects going. We've got other rental properties. We've got lots of maintenance, repair items. And if a rental property does go vacant, if tenants damage it, we don't always have someone who can just jump on it right away. We might have to wait, and they might have other jobs going. It can take weeks or sometimes a month or two to get started, which really is frustrating because that just eats away at your costs and any potential profit you have as well. So you can see we cleaned up the yard, took out the fence, made it look way nicer, and then this is what it looks like inside. We're replacing that air conditioning thing. So we had a few blue tape issues that we saw when we walked through here. So it's not all the way done. We're like, oh, that looks like crap. We're going to fix that. But we, I think, painted the whole interior again because it needed it, even though their paint job was amazing. Replaced a few of the flooring pieces, so we did have that flooring still, so that was nice. There's still some that are scuffed up, but it's a rental. Does not have to be absolutely perfect, but we did replace the really bad worn floorboards, so that made it much nicer. Took off the weird mirror things on the cabinets, and we still have to clean this property as well, which again, I don't know if that included that on my costs either. So yeah, it just keeps adding up now that you go through all the costs and different things that happen with rentals. And you kind of see why so many people are selling their rentals and why there are actually fewer rentals now, at least as far as single family homes go, than there were 6 years ago by over 1 million. There are 1 million fewer less single family rentals now than 2016. So a lot of people just don't think it's worth it anymore with all the landlord laws coming about and tenant squatter issues and different things happening. There's a lot that can go wrong, and honestly there's not a huge profit margin on these properties unless, like I said, you've held them for years and years. You get amazing deals, you add value, which is what we try to do as well. So we replaced the doors, just got similar very affordable doors, repainted all these rooms so that they're actually one color and painted well, no more craziness on them. And also, I think I put some trim down too, now that I see it, because I don't know if that room had trim before either after they're done, if they removed it or if we never had trim. I might have to look through those videos again too, or maybe it's just really tiny trim. I did notice we left a tag on that door. Not a huge deal, but like, I'll have to get that ripped off. And then fix the, oh yeah, I noticed that was open. I'm like, I wonder if anybody ever looked up there to see if they had stuff up there, which they could have. I don't want to know. Anyway, here's the bathroom. It wasn't bad, but like I said, the door was broken. They punched a hole in it, tried to fix it with some foam. Obviously didn't do a good job, so that had to be fixed there too. So it wasn't a huge job, wasn't a ton of work, but it takes time, takes money. We've got materials, labor costs, all of that go in to making this property decent again. So here is what they ended up costing us. Now, again, a lot of people think it's 1 month's rent, you're fine, stop whining. Well, they paid in January rent, did not pay in February, so that's when we're talking to them, trying to figure something out. Posted a notice, so they had to pay or quit. They stopped talking to us, communicating with us, and then they ended up moving out March 7th, kind of when the eviction process was starting. So luckily we didn't have to pay our attorneys or anything like that, because that would have been even more expensive. But we lost February's rent, we lost March's rent, and then we lost April's rent too, because time went in to repair the house and take care of it, and their lease actually ended the end of April. So this is all time they're supposed to be paying. And yes, if they did move out, we'd have some of these costs too to re-rent it. But a lot of our tenants will stay well past 1 year and keep renting. It's not very common that they move out after 1 year. So to have a turnover every single year is very expensive for landlords too, and makes rentals not very profitable as well. But we had 3 months of rent at $1,200 a month, and then we had utilities. So the tenants were responsible to pay utilities. We had water, electric, gas, and we kind of split it up among all the tenants in the property, but those were about $150 a month that they were paying. So during the months they didn't pay any of the utilities, and then we had to pay them when they moved out as well. So those were expenses they should have paid. Cleaning costs, these are rough because I don't have all of the costs in yet. I'm assuming $200 for inside. It's very small, shouldn't cost us too much, but it still needs to be cleaned. And yes, it is the tenant's responsibility to clean a property too. The property should be in the same condition they left it. So if a tenant doesn't leave it clean, we can take that out of their deposit. It is their responsibility. Just like, I mean, it's kind of common sense. You should leave something in the same shape you got it, even though I know a lot of people don't have those same feelings. And we had to clean up the outside too. They left a bunch of junk, tear out that fence, do some other stuff out there. Then we had repairs, and I'm thinking it's around $2,000 in labor. Again, I don't have all the costs back yet. And these could vary greatly based on where you're at, the contractors you're using. We have very affordable people, but painting, replacing doors, and it might come in a little higher than that. It might come in a little lower. That's just a rough estimate. Probably have $1,000 in materials for the doors, paint. Again, could be a little more, a little less. We'll have to see how those come in. And there's costs to re-rent it too. So I don't go out there and show houses and post all the links and do all that myself. I don't have time for that. I'm a broker. I have an office. We've got a lot of different things going on. And even if I was doing that, I should be paid for my time. My time is valuable, so you need to account for that. So when you have to do those things, it's not like it's just free and easy to do that. So we do have people in our office who will show it. We give them bonuses for renting a place. That could be more or less depending on how much time it takes them, how many tenants they have to show it to. So that's the cost. And our total cost, about $8,350 for this property, for them moving out, doing damage after all is said and done. And that assumes we get it rented and all ready to go in May, and we don't have another extra month to cost us after that. So there's no guarantee we'll get it rented that quick. Hopefully we should. But places don't always just rent in a second, contrary to what some people think too. Now, we did have a deposit of $1,200, so we can apply that to the repairs. Obviously, it won't cover all of it, but it'll help a little bit. And just because the repairs are more than the deposit doesn't mean the tenants don't still owe that money. So we could go to court, we could sue them, we could try and get that money. Usually it's like, squeezing juice out of a turnip and not worth the effort, but there are some other avenues we could pursue on that too. Now, something else we've been working on and trying to figure out too is if we can send this into collections, collect back owed rent, repairs, things like that, without going through a full eviction. Now, I know if you go through a full eviction, you can go to court, file all that, but we're trying to figure out if we can avoid that or not. Not sure on that yet. We've got some calls into a finance company around here that's all they do. Now, if we did do that, you probably only collect 50% of it, but hey, 50% of nothing is zero, so we can get 50% of something. That'd be okay with me. And also, if you're able to get a collection, that shows up on these tenants' credit. So that makes it harder for them to do this again to other landlords. I know there's serial bad tenants out there who just move from property to property and just assume landlords won't do anything. They'll just eat the costs and just keep tricking people into renting to them, doing damage, not paying rent. But if there's collections on there, then that will show up on their credit report and make it much harder for them to keep doing it in the future. And believe me, we've had tenants apply with us who have evictions, collections from property management companies, and that's pretty much an automatic no if we see that. And they'll be like, well, what's wrong? I'm like, you have an eviction on credit report from 2 years ago. And like, oh, that wasn't our fault. I'm sorry. And then we've had some other people who had, 3 people were on an application and 1 person had an eviction. And they're like, oh, no, they're not supposed to be on there. They weren't they're not really living with us. We took them off. Like, okay, sure. But if we were able to do that, I'd feel a lot better about these situations too. But we've got it fixed. We'll get it re-rented. The property still is worth, over $500,000, but we spent a lot of money repairing it too. So this has been an okay investment, but definitely not one of our home runs. With the work we've put into it, with some of the tenant issues we've had, some are great, some are not, but they're all interesting. That's for sure. All right, so we'll have more updates on our flips, rentals, commercial properties, laundromats, liquor store, all that stuff coming up soon. We'll also have more tenant stories, I'm sure. We have another move out here scheduled this week at the Ocho, which will be very interesting. We'll see how that goes. And thanks for watching. Love to hear what you think.